So I just got done watching the Secretary of War's big speech, all the admirals and generals, and I thought I'd give a few opinions on it. One, straight up, not impressed. Bunch of sound bites, a lot of big condescending attitude he had towards these, lifelong career military men and women. Also, the man at one point plugged his book. I was actually surprised researching for this video to find that our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has a pretty extensive military background. I knew he had been in the military at one point. When I was researching it today, I didn't realize he had been deployed so much, and he had risen to the rank of major. So it was actually quite impressive. So I think that, yeah, he can actually walk some of the walk on this talk of the talk that he does. Like, I don't know what his PT scores was, but maybe he can live up to the same standard as he's trying to inflict on our men and women in the Army. For me, I always find that, the concept of military standards to be a oxymoron, because nothing ever stays the same, so therefore it can't be the standard. I mean, right now, the standards are being raised with our Secretary of War. Can't have a beard, you can't be fat, you gotta go to the assigned bathroom based on your birth, right? Standards are going up, and what that's gonna do is that's gonna take the retention rates and recruitment rates down. A bunch of people are gonna be kicked out of the military, a bunch aren't gonna be allowed in. So our numbers go down because our standards are going up. But then all of a sudden, we need our numbers to go up because we're fighting a war with Venezuela or Greenland or Seattle. So all of a sudden, we need a whole bunch of more people to come in. So what happens to the standards? Oh, they go down. Now you can bring in the fatties and the chicks with dicks and the Grizzly Adam types. So I find that somewhat amusing as someone who's had some experience in the military himself. I am somewhat concerned with his attitude towards, non-whites and women based on the speech, because he keeps bringing up affirmative action and how the standards for women were lower. And it's kind of reading between the lines there and wondering, is he going to give these people a fair shake? So you got the women now, their standards are going to go up. So they have to do more push-ups or sit-ups or run faster, or whatever the PT tests are today. I think they changed on me, so I don't know what they're doing in the military right now as far as PT tests, what they got to do. But anyway, now they got to match the men. And he said the highest male standards. So what? 100%? Everyone has to get 100% on their PT test? What does that even mean? Because not only are your tests separated by gender, they're also separated by age groups. And less is expected of you as you get older, right? When I was in my 20s, I was expected to do, 42 push-ups or something like that. But then as I got into my mid-20s, 24, 25, 26, it went down to 38 or some nonsense like that. And, if you stay in long enough, like you're in your 60s and you're still in the military, you just have to show up to your next PT test to pass it. You don't have to do anything. You just show up. It's like, well, he's 60. And those are the standards. But like you said, the highest male standard. So I would be somewhat concerned that the women are not going to get a fair shake in this. That no matter how many push-ups, sit-ups, 2-mile runs, chin-ups, or whatever they're doing these days, that it's not going to be counted fairly. Because, your score on a PT test is somewhat subjective, because the person observing you decides how many push-ups, sit-ups, how fast you ran on the 2-mile run. And I think a lot of the experience where we're knocking out sit-ups or push-ups or something, and, the counter is 1, 1, 1, and then they tell you what you're doing wrong. Passive-aggressive pricks. And I've had it where I was doing, the 2-mile run, and we had a course where you had to run around it 5 times. So the observer, he's supposed to count how many times we go around, and he shorted me one. When I was coming in for my 5th run, I was running like the bat out of hell. This is back when I was in a pretty good shape. And he's like, that's number 4 for you. It's like, I had to go around again. Instead of arguing with him, I took a 6th time around the 5-time course. I still passed my PT test, but I would have done exceptionally higher had that prick counted right. And I kind of wonder with the women, are, especially because he said male standard, are they going to get a fair shake? Because now they got to raise their standard. They got to do a lot more PT so they can be ready for these tests. Are we going to get someone who doesn't want to pass them because, they're women? And that's really all I got to say on that.